Hello, everyone, and welcome to One Liners, series centered around key influencers and players in the performance marketing space. My name is Joey Liner of Liner Connections. I'm super excited I've been kicking off November with some cool recordings, so I'm excited to share this one with everybody. And a special guest, my good friend and brother Rob Cahme. Rob, say hello.
Hey, Joey, and hello to the One-Liners community. Happy to be here. Happy I finally made the cut onto One-Liners, and happy to be talking to you this afternoon.
I'm too, man. Rob and I have a really special relationship. We got to work together at DMS, and we'll talk about that here today a little bit. But Rob's a super special person. Like he's come from he's got an amazing journey, and I'm glad that he's agreed to come on and share his story because it's really it's impactful for from life lessons that he's learned and just built out an amazing family and career path and just success and happiness all kind of colliding, which we all strive for. But um, how did you? Let's kick us off. Just like I like to get to know your. I think it's cool to share. We all show up to Zoom meetings. We jump right into businesses and stuff. But like, tell me about really your story. Like, how did you start your career and like ultimately get into performance marketing?
Yeah, great question. I got really lucky. That's ultimately what I tell people. I went to school in the Midwest, University of Wisconsin-Madison. I was in the business school there, and when it came time to graduate, going to the career fairs, and they had investment banks coming in from the city and all
Yeah.
these big companies coming in. Um, for jobs in the Midwest. And the two things that I didn't know what I wanted to do,
Right.
but the two things I knew that I didn't want to do were live in the Midwest and work in finance. I wanted to move back to New York. I wanted to get a job in sales or marketing, and the Wisconsin Business School career fairs were not being very helpful. So I moved home. It's like, okay, better get a job if I want to go live in the city. I need to make money, go find a job. And I was interviewing and looking on Monster or whatever resume sites back then. And they're just awful jobs, like, door to door, B2B, selling crappy telecom. And my mother was like, hey, I know this guy. I dated him in college, and I think he runs a marketing company in the city. And she introduced me to Richard Baumer, who was the CEO of a company called Venture Direct Worldwide.
Okay.
I met with him in the city, and he had three divisions. They had like a card pack division, which sold print advertising and inserts of magazines. They had an airline magazine advertising division. They had this new online division that was run by this guy named Michael Derakrava, who was young, and his bosses, Tom Storm and Neil Mandel. And I spent an afternoon there, and I connected with those guys, and they offered me a job as an affiliate manager, helping to drive traffic to their online EDU portal, Direct Degree, do some host and post. And, I took the job, and I never looked back. And,
Yeah.
ironically, to come full circle, that is also where I met Fernando, the
Yep.
CEO of DMS. He was at his old company, DMI Partners. I was at Venture Direct, and
Yeah.
that's where we started doing work together. But that's how I ended up getting into the industry, and it's the only industry that I've been a part of since 2005.
Yeah, dude, that's it. We stay within this community because it's been so successful for us in our careers. We just keep getting deeper and deeper. But when you were there, did you kind of on the job training, like you just learn the stuff yourself? Like when I mean, if somebody said, "Hey, go do an affiliate offer or host and post," like did you have a good mentor or somebody kind of show you the way, or did you kind of just
Yeah.
figure it out yourself?
No, I mean, you had to figure some stuff out yourself.
Yeah.
But my boss, this guy Michael Derakrava, is an old army guy. He went out and he ended up starting his own company. He was a really good mentor to me early on, and his bosses, who were VPs at Venture Direct, Tom Storm, Neil Mandel, these guys really helped me with sales strategy and being a good salesperson. And Michael had the playbook. And it was about, in 2005, these online degree portals were relatively new.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of trial and error. But for the most part, we had a good team. I had met a couple other people at Venture Direct who are still in the industry. Vivek, who's CEO of Mantra, Lisa Batiglieri, Adam Alter, who was in the space for a while, Michael Pavez, who's at Ads for Dough forever now. He has his own business. So we had a good little team there
Wow.
together. And I did have a good mentor early on. That guy, Michael, was, he showed me the ropes. He took me in under his wings and really showed me the ropes of how to work with affiliates and, all the different, KPIs and metrics that we look for on the front end, on the back end. And then Tom, his boss, who I still keep in touch with, was one of my early mentors on for just sales strategy, communication. So I feel really lucky that I had them in my
Yeah.
life, to start my career.
We I say that all the time to people that ask me about my success. It's like people that invested their time with me early in their career, in my career, that I try to learn as much and adapt to be who I am, right? But obviously just to get as much reference points and attitudes and influences and just understand how people operate in business, because when we're young kids, like we're just trying to, we were trying to make our mark, but we got to learn. We got to be willing to learn and grow from it. And um, speaking of that too, like being in the city at a young age, it's hard. There's a lot of influences for partying, and I myself stopped drinking in 2020, but I remember like before that in early when you and I chatted at DMS, it was like you never, when I knew you, you weren't drinking. So like you've done a really good job. I've witnessed this from the outside. I wanted to share with you. I've seen you really take a strong emphasis in mental and physical health. Like what has really been the driver for your story there?
Well, the real driver of why I decided to get sober was because if I didn't do that, I would have been dead, and it was that bad. Towards the end of my run, I stopped drinking and drugging in 2012, and that was like the end of a like 10-year run where I was a maniac. I'm sure many people who will watch this
Yeah.
podcast, knew the old Rob, working at a Zoogle, Epic Ads in the
Yeah.
city. It was a lot of partying.
Yep.
I was the functioning addict, hid it from my parents and family, hid it from my friends, supported my own habit, but it was a daily activity. And I knew I had an issue. And it took me some time to realize what I needed to do to not die, which was, to get help and put my hand
Yeah.
up. But you know what prompted me to make a change, and I had really gone down a bad path when I was about 26. My mom committed suicide, and I didn't want to feel feelings, and I
Yeah.
wanted to be there for my sister, and I just did a lot of opiates, and
Yeah.
I didn't feel pain. And I met Allie, who's my wife. We've been together 11 years, married 8. I met her at the end of my run. And people that know my wife know that she's like MacGyver. Like you can't get shit by her. Like you can't get anything past her. And very, very, very quickly, she uncovered that, and she had her own journey with sobriety
Yeah.
and was sober when we met. And I lied to her, she very quickly uncovered the fact that I was a raging drug addict, and finally had proof because I lied and denied, and really she gave me an ultimatum and was like, hey, I want to be with you, but I'm not going to be with a drug addict. I've come this far. And if you want to get better, I can help you because I've been through it. But it starts with getting honest and telling your family and telling your friends. And, I feel like everything happens for a reason. And at the time, I was working for Ads for Dough. We'd opened a New York office. It was a very short lived thing. I wasn't in a good headspace. And at that point, I didn't have a job. So I had no more excuse as to why I couldn't go get help. Because that was always my, hey, I have a job, I'm working, I can't go to rehab right now. But she really pushed me to open up with my family. And in December of 2012, waved the white flag, checked into detox and rehab, and got sober, and had to
Amazing.
do a lot of work. That was
Yeah,
the first step.
that's right.
um Went into inpatient, came out, moved out of the city, just listened to the people, like joined the AA community, poured
Yeah,
myself into sobriety, just going to meetings. I wasn't working. We were living in my parents' basement in Rockland County for about 6 months. And I literally just focused on just getting my foundation back, going to meetings. I eventually started exercising. I checked into rehab weighing 300 pounds. I was missing 3 teeth. I had no money because I'd spent it all on drugs. I owed the IRS money. I owed American Express money. I literally had, nothing, from a material sense, but more importantly, I
yeah,
was like emotionally and spiritually bankrupt, right?
yeah,
Uh, so, um, I did the work. I stayed out of the city, where I was running around, and
yeah.
eventually 6 months, um, started to work again at Revy Media, which is now PX.
Wow.
Moved to our first apartment together in Edgewater. Fast forward, moved to Florida, got married, moved to Florida, had our first daughter, started at DMS, had our second daughter, and here we are 6 years later. Beautiful family, life beyond our wildest dreams, and really, none of this would have been possible. And again, I really wouldn't have been alive, because it was that bad, if I didn't get the help that I needed, and just surrender, and say I'm done. And the funny part is, people, I feel like, that are on the other side are generally open about their journey and their
Yeah,
story. And in our industry, especially, there's a lot of partying.
yeah,
But as I get older, and as I spend more time in our industry, just, talking to guys like you, I know a bunch of people, I won't mention their names. There's a
yeah,
lot of people that have stopped drinking and stopped partying, that still go to shows, that are in their industry. And there's a nice community of people that, don't drink anymore and
yeah,
still go to shows and still have fun. And the other thing I'll add, just on the addiction side,
yeah,
is I do, there's people that are probably, still actively struggling. Um, and all I'll say there is, if you know me and you're struggling, Joey, just reach out,
yes,
want to help. There is an easier, softer way. And I think part of, being sober and not drinking is helping other people, right, with their own journey. So if anybody wants to talk, I'm here.
dude, that's
Uh,
amazing story, Rob. Like I thank you for sharing that. I think it's
yeah,
a lot of people do hit bottom, before they realize that it's like, but you got to do the work. Like you did the work. You were surrounded by Ali, who gave you tremendous love and tough love, but you had to do it. You could have went the other way, just gave up and not have been here. But
yeah,
you committed to a better life, a better way. And I agree with you. I see people at conferences, and Mike Furry actually last year at Lead Generation World, he actually had an on-site AA meeting. I attended. I just wanted to participate and help, and there were
mhm,
some young professionals there that actually were discussing some of the challenges that they were going through. I remember when I was in my low 20s, but I also seeing conversely, I'm seeing there are people that are leaning more heavily on substances, and I'm not going to call anybody out. If they want to help, like I said, that we can help them. That you don't have to go bottom, but there's definitely it's weird this year. I've seen partying pick up a bit. I mean, it's always been an element of shows, but I've seen it pick up, and I've seen people under influence of stronger drugs too. So hopefully that's not a trend that continues in 24. But thank you, dude, for sharing your story.
yeah.
Um, Super special, and I was fortunate to work with you at DMS. That's where you and I became close. And we had nobody grinds harder than Rob Cahme. I will tell you guys. I mean, this motherfucker's on Slack 24 hours a day. He'll respond to you. You know, we were grinding, brother. We were grinding. And you know, as chief revenue officer, I got to work with you super closely because obviously you ran one of the biggest business units at DMS, performance leads and calls, and we were just hustling to try to continue to grow the business. But you did such an amazing job there, man. I loved working with you. What do you think is your biggest like career win or takeaway from DMS? Like, um,
Yeah.
we had such a great team, you know?
We had a great team. It was a fun ride for sure. We grinded together, and I think when I came to DMS, I'd worked at companies where there were people that, were definitely pouring their heart into the business and working hard. But at DMS, especially in the position I was when I joined DMS, I just saw like another level of people's intensity and specifically Fernando, who is my boss. And it's like, man, this guy is leading by example, right? And grinding hard and kind of, pushes people around him, to do the same. And
Yeah.
I think even at Revy, I was grinding hard, but yeah, we did grind hard at DMS. You had to, right? The business
Yeah.
was very demanding,
Yes.
from the point that we were there, right? Private equity back to the point we went public, like always numbers to hit, right?
Yes.
Quarterly
Hmm.
numbers, monthly numbers, yearly numbers, and the business was demanding. I had to wear many hats. Like you did. But to answer your question, I think the biggest career win, there's a couple that I thought about that I wrote down. And to your point, getting to work with and learn from some of the best
Yes.
minds and talent in the industry. Um, when we were, especially I would say in the first 4 years when we're going with acquisitions and bringing in
Yes.
these, entrepreneurs and business leaders. It was a time where you could get subject matter expertise, across different channels, different verticals, tech, media,
Yes.
products. So that was really special. Having some of the best mentors and coaches and people that I still speak with today, you, Fernando, Cliff Libby, Bruce Morrow, and Dave Hartman, right, supporting the
Yes.
team.
The coaches.
Um, yeah, cultivating, really deep and meaningful relationships, right, and partnerships with our colleagues and clients and vendors. You get the cream of the crop when you're at a company like DMS. Um, the culture, especially the culture before COVID, I felt like we just got it right at DMS
Yeah.
through our events, our executive retreats, our offsites, DMS Con, which was Leads Con, right?
Yeah.
We just had a really, really strong culture. But what I'm most grateful for was really having the opportunity to learn how to run a P&L and really how to run a P&L, semi-autonomously.
Yes.
Because at the time that Joe and Fernando approached me about taking over the performance leads and calls division, I had no experience, and they were out, acquiring companies and really need to focus on that. So, they threw me into the fire. I
Yes.
remember talking with Fernando when he approached me. I was like, dude, like, you sure? Like, he's like,
Yeah.
dude, you're gonna make mistakes, but we're gonna figure it out together. And really, having that opportunity to learn, how to run a division, how to wear a lot of different hats, right? From
Yeah.
revenue generator to coach, therapist, operations, finance, data analytics, reporting. We had a lot of different things that we had to do to get the business to where it was when I left, right? So I think that was for me by far the most valuable experience and win that I would walk away from my time there at DMS.
Awesome, dude. Well said. If I can give you a little compliment too from what I witnessed is you build out, like, you had a big team. And one thing that I really appreciated joining your team meetings and just listening to how you kind of ran and managed your group is you empowered your team members to, especially in their expertise or their area, to like, they were accountable for that, specific bucket, whatever it was, supply side calls, data, and you made them feel like they were empowered to run their part. And obviously it rolled up under you and you were responsible for it, but you gave them that, you gave them that kind of confidence to do it and to be successful with it and to learn. And the other compliment I want to throw your way too is I watched you evolve. We had a lot of pressure, like you said, under us. I mean, there's going public, hitting numbers, but we had a big leadership team, and there's a lot of people in different directions, different priorities. You took feedback really well, whether it was from coaching, whether it was from boss, whether it was from people below you, above you, whatever it may be. You actually were receptive to feedback, and you were able to act on it. It's hard as an individual to make change. We all think sometimes our habits, our ways are right, but I witnessed you evolve as a leader, being able to make those changes and feedback without being defensive, which is hard, which is really hard. So I
Oh,
think,
thanks, man.
yeah, it's
That
super
was that
special,
was
man.
that was a tough because I feel like when I joined, as the executive team, I was like a bull in a china shop, right? Like uh in my emotional response sometimes, right? If I didn't necessarily agree with something, and
Yeah,
it's an art and a skill, and it's like, man, I'm not getting like the collaboration and participation, right, and buy-in that I'm looking for with that approach. And it took some time and some spanking, from coaches and
yeah,
mentors, and
yep,
but it's a skill and an art that I feel like a lot of us had to really learn, right? Especially because when you look at the leadership team, right? It's like you got these guys. A lot of the guys are a product of acquisitions, right? Who
acquisitions,
ran
right? Yeah,
their own businesses, right? Were
yep,
their own boss, and now they're part of a larger organization with different divisions and different priorities, and everybody's got to play nice in
that's
the
it.
sandbox together because ultimately we share a common goal of hitting revenue numbers, hitting EBITDA numbers, in
Yeah,
addition to hitting our divisional numbers. So that was, I think that was a skill and an art that we all had to work on and master together to put the business in a position to be as successful as possible, right? Starts with
amen.
us at the top. And it was nice to have you as a partner, and
Wow.
oftentimes Switzerland in some of these instances, because everybody loves Joey, you know what I mean? And you're
Ah,
easy to get along with, and sometimes it's not the case for me. So it was nice to be able to partner with you and work with you, and to
likewise.
solve these problems together while we
Yes,
were at EMS.
we had a lot of good heart to hearts. That's for sure. Pontificate or not, but just like looking back, high level, any regrets, like any thoughts, like for. And by the way, you and I are both still very big fans of Fernando, Joe, DMS. We're pulling for them. We obviously want them to continue to be successful outside of us being there. But while we were there, and while you were there even longer than me, any regrets that you kind of think back now and say, "Man, I wish I did that different."
Yeah, I mean, I try not to like spend time, thinking about regrets, because
Yeah,
I feel like in life, like it's funny, the older I get, I just feel like sometimes in the moment you don't realize
yeah,
why things are happening to you for you, but everything happens for a reason.
I believe that
And
too.
hindsight's always 2020. So on a personal level, regret like seeing what has happened after COVID, right?
Yeah,
I do think that we emphasized a little bit too much on traveling to show faces in offices, which were
yeah,
mentally and physically draining.
yeah,
Like you were a road
yes,
warrior too. We were
yes.
on the road, in PLC. We had people in
Frequently.
Florida, New York,
Yes.
Philly, California. you as the CRO got to show face in all of the offices, right? So
Yeah.
so that level of travel, like 2 to 3 times out of weeks out of the month, and
Yeah.
everybody on the executive team, right?
Yes.
Fernando, Joe, like everybody was traveling like that because we thought that that was the way to go about things. And then COVID happens and you can't
Yes.
travel anywhere. And you're like, why would I go to the LA office or the Philly office when I could have a Zoom meeting for a couple of hours, right?
Right.
So I think, in the list of things that I would have done differently now, like I definitely wouldn't. It's not that I wouldn't have traveled as much. I wouldn't have traveled so much just to show face without a very specific purpose and agenda for going to these offices. That was one thing that I definitely would have done differently. Because personally, towards the end,
Yeah.
like it was really taxing, just
Yes.
balancing. Because you go to an office, you have
Yep.
your normal priorities, right, that you need to get done. But then on top of that, like you're at the office, you want to spend time with your
Right.
teammates, with colleagues, but like the work doesn't stop. So, I was just working at the hotel, and the flying and, up early. It was a lot, and it was mentally and physically draining towards the end. So
Yeah,
that's a big
dude.
one.
No, silver lining for me was the wake up call during the pandemic for travel, because
Right.
I thought I was a good dad. I thought, I was there for my kids, but really witnessing that during the pandemic, being there for them, watching them go do their homework, go learn this lesson from this friend, treated me this way, and how as a dad I could act that, help him through that was, and being there for my wife, watching her grow and evolve as she's continuing her education, her career, it's pretty special. So silver lining from the pandemic is just being present more, and we became numb to getting on planes and traveling all the time. And it seems like it's picking up again a little bit, but we can be selective. We learn from that. We can be selective which shows we want to attend, where we want to be, what can we tackle on Zoom, what can't we. Those are all key things that we go into influence before we make that decision. But um, what the heck are you up to these days? Because like I actually I did see you at LeadsCon, which was really cool. I know we didn't get to spend as much time as we wanted to because it flew by, but you got some good stuff brewing. I mean, obviously we're in busy season for open enrollment. You got some good stuff to share with OnScript. So yeah, I wanted you to share with everybody what you're doing these days.
Yeah, great question. The OnScript opportunity kind of snuck up on me. I left DMS in June, and I really used the summer to unplug and enjoy the
Yeah,
summer. We
good.
called it the summer of Rob. Did a lot of traveling, spent time with friends and family and Allie and the girls, and
Good,
just recharged my batteries. Is what the doctor ordered, and it
good.
was time well spent. And use that time to also figure out what would be next for me. And at the time, again, I didn't necessarily know what I wanted to do, but I knew a couple of non-negotiables for me, which was I don't want to build a business right now because I had just exited, running a 60, 70 person division, public company. I didn't want to be responsible for anybody, at the time.
Right.
And I saw the success that people were having as consultants like you, Dave Steif, one of the old
Yep.
partners at DMS, a lot of other people. It's like, okay, got a lot of
Yeah.
knowledge, got relationships, got playbooks of how to make money, and I feel like I can add value as a consultant, and that was the idea. And then the guys who had founded OnScript are old guys from OG 1.0 DMS, guys that I've worked with for a while, like, trust, appreciate.
Yeah.
And they came to me and they're like, look, we got this product, it's ready for market. How do you feel about, becoming a partner? And initially they asked, the need a CMO. I was like, yeah, I feel like CRO feels a little bit more appropriate. But that came along towards the end of July, where I was excited about the product. the problem that it solved in the space, being, an AI platform for call center agent quality control. And really this can be adapted to, a large enterprise company who has SDRs or sales guys that have to follow a script or a process. Anywhere where you have a call center environment where there's a level of quality control that you want to apply to those agents. So, uh, was thankful, grateful for the opportunity,
Yeah.
said yes. That was towards the end of July. And then in addition to that, I'm focused on a couple of other things. I got a pretty large call center business. We specialize in ACA,
Yeah.
Medicare, a little bit of consumer finance stuff. Um, I also had, when I left DMS on the consulting side, that I could probably do some referral stuff,
Yeah.
right? So I was like, okay, I like calls, no calls. So I have a handful of referral deals with supply side guys that are
Yeah.
direct, they're pushing the buttons on media or sending out direct mail or
Yep.
running TV, radio. Not too many, but again, like I from day one, I never, like when I left the Zoogle back in 2009, I was like, I hate the network space, the brokered business. It's a grind.
Yeah.
There's no loyalty. Like I don't want to broker anything. I want to be direct with the guys, direct with the supply. And so
Amen.
that's been nice and relatively for the most part on the referral stuff, pretty low level of effort. And then I have a couple of consulting gigs for a handful of companies that
Yeah.
I do either sales, operational, or executive coaching.
Yes.
Um, which has been going good. These
Yeah.
are people that
Yeah.
are my friends that
Yes.
it's been nice. They've got, some infrastructure and really the focus are companies that are between the, 5 to 20 million revenue mark. And you've got these founders and, entrepreneurs that have either won on the back of like their own, um, good work or
Yeah.
brute force and they want to scale their business or certain areas of their business. They just don't know how.
Right.
So it's either it's a combination of sales,
Yeah.
organization process, operational process, um, data visualization, automation, and leveraging my Rolodex and the connections that I have, which were all things that I was able to do and learn
Over the
running the
years.
PLC
Yeah.
division, at DMS and working as on the supply side, right, for
Yeah.
many years coming up. So
Yeah.
there's OnScript, there's call center, there's some referral stuff, and there's some consulting work. That's what I'm doing.
It's variety. It's variety. Is the spice of life. But it's cool. Like to wake up every day and know you have the four different buckets, and that each one of them excites you in different ways. Right. Like some of that overlaps on how I run Liner Connections too. Right. It's a one person show, and what really gets me going is to be able to know, like you talked about a couple minutes ago, about working with people that you like, you care about, that you really can help. You see, when you see you impact their business and you've immersed yourself in helping them make those improvements, whether it's coaching, call center, sales, whatever, P&L management that you, like said, you've learned, it really feels good. It's gratifying. I mean, obviously we get paid, but it feels good just from a win that you made those impacts in that person's life. And people ask me all the time, it's like, oh, do you get lonely? And it's like, no, I immerse myself into my clients' businesses and I share with their team. I feed off that energy and each one's different. And it's cool. And it's fun. So I'm glad you're having a lot
Yeah,
of fun with it too, dude. That's really, really
yeah,
cool.
yeah. No, I think when I left DMS, I the three W's, right? Work on what I want, with who I want, when I want,
Wow,
right?
that's it.
And
Love
the
it.
other thing that was important to me was just a little bit or a lot better balance in my life and
Yes.
quality of life and taking that stab and leap of faith into business ownership and entrepreneurship can be scary, but ultimately it's
Yes.
like, man, if and look, we had freedom at DMS, right? Nobody was micromanaging anybody, right? And but
Mm-mm.
I felt an obligation to the company and to my team that during work hours, like I'm there, right? And
That's it.
usually like after work hours, we're there right now. Well, yes, I have an obligation to myself. If I want to go play golf on a Friday morning, or if I want to go take Allie out for lunch, right,
Yep.
and not work on a Friday, like I do whatever I want. Like, and
That's
the best part about that is that I have a very strict no asshole rule in my life anymore. Where I just don't, at a big company, 600 people, you can't really, guarantee that.
yeah.
So that's very important. The people that I work with, the people I want to be working with, and I've had to fire a couple of people because
It's okay.
they're just
Yeah.
just not not
It's not a
not
fit.
they're just tough, not good people, and not
Yeah.
even not so much not being a fit, them just not being good people or being
Oh,
difficult. They're like, all right, good luck, we're
it's
done.
it's a cleanse. It's like, yeah, exactly. Move on.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
um, dude, super cool. I'm glad we have a lot of overlap, and I'm sure we're gonna jam on some stuff as we work together in our businesses next year too. Like, so what does as we're it's crazy. We're already in freaking November. You had a great summer. You hit the grind already back on some of the trade shows. What are you focusing on as you close out year end and heading into to 2024?
Yeah. So right now, like you said, very, very heavy focus on open enrollment,
Yep.
ACA, Medicare. Medicare doesn't really excite me nearly as much as ACA. Probably lots of people echo that sentiment, although I imagine that down the road, over the next year, there might be some regulatory changes in ACA as well. But ACA is a vertical and product category I like.
Yep.
So heavy focus on that into
Yeah.
2024. And really, going deeper into ACA, so I can bring to groups like the combination of supply, licensed agents,
Yes.
downline opportunities, private equity group funding,
I like
for
that.
these policies where the barrier to entry to really become somewhat vertically integrated and build an ACA agency, it makes it pretty easy. So
It's
focusing
a growing
on
theme, right? Like
that,
that's
yeah,
we last year there was so much supply infused and it was hard to get enough demand, right? So I think eye opening. It sounds like you're offering almost a turnkey because from all the facets of the business that you see together, you can help a business put it all together. And say, hey, if you really
that's
want
right.
to build out your own enrollments, I'll
Yeah.
show you how to do it.
That's right.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we learned the lesson the hard way, in 2022 in ACA, because we were very, very pot committed to
Hmm.
one buyer, and that's great, when the buyer's spending a lot, but for whatever reason, if the one buyer pulls back and you don't have a nice stack, the buyer's like, you're in trouble. So
Yes.
that was important going out onto my own. Is like, okay, finding more people in the space, and then from finding more people and more buyers and kind of moving up the food chain and understanding the ecosystem a little bit better, it was very apparent to me that there is a need for that type of business in the box. And it doesn't need to be all four. Maybe some people are like, yeah, I got supply. I have licensed agents, but it'd be great if we could figure out how to downline, or do you have a group that can help me with cash flow, right, on
Yeah.
policy funding, or groups are like, hey, give me everything, right, and you take your rip on every step of the way, right, because you're giving them a playbook, and a path to be successful. So that's a focus. I like also, although still need to flesh out ACP, which is a product, right, for free government phones or home internet with the
Yeah.
same qualifications for ACA. So plays in the same audience, will perform in some of the same channels. Good product, right, for consumers,
Yeah.
government subsidized and funded, very similar to ACA, right? Like almost too good to be true with no strings attached, right? So strong value prop, government funded, not seasonal. So I like that. And then consumer finance verticals, right? Like debt and personal loans, just based on where we're at in the macro economy. I know that's a space that you play very heavy in on the debt side. So it does seem like there's some runway there
Yeah.
with debt, with
Yeah.
consumer credit card debt never been higher.
It's
And just like
crazy.
with ACA, like you're seeing it too with like,
Yes.
groups like Freedom, like everybody like is trying to figure out this like downline model,
That's right.
right? Where they can go to groups, they're
Hmm.
protected because they're likely structuring deals on percentage of debt enrolled.
That's right.
There are some groups that are like, hey, like we can give you agents, right? And they partner with call center BPO, so
Yep.
you have to, right? Like so it makes sense. So I
Yeah.
think there's other verticals, but that's those are the areas of focus that from a vertical perspective excite me heading into 2024.
Well said, brother. Yeah, well, I think we've learned being in space. So there's some big companies that built out the full funnel, like Red Ventures, Centerfield, Clearlink. These guys built out. They did the marketing, did the enrollments, and placed the whole sale for a big brand. And then you could see these micro, like you said, it's just if a lot of these industries can't hire enough full time employees, and their fluctuations on answer rates, conversion rates. It's like, hey, if I'm a good marketer and I know if I could figure out the sales component, the licensing component, the funding component, or if somebody offers me a line to use there where I can, it's reputable, it's becoming an eye opening trend for sure. Certain verticals, there's more challenges to that, but I think consumer finance, debt, and ACA are going to continue to head into 24. So I'm excited to partner with you there too as we continue to see opportunities there, man. Speaking of
Amen.
opportunities, you got a cool ass Jets collage behind you. Jets, 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 Jets. I'm a big diehard Ravens fan. Rob and I have always bonded off football. Like that's been our shit for sure. I know he's become a big hockey fan though. We were just talking about that. But do you think the Jets actually have a legitimate chance of making the playoffs? Is Aaron Rodgers going to come back this year? I mean, that's freaking crazy.
I hope not. I hope he doesn't come back. Because it would be pretty crazy. Although I did see at the the pregame of the game last Monday night, he's throwing like 50-yard darts down the field. Um, I don't. Uh, Even if he comes back, is he going to be in? He's obviously not going to be in end of season form, but he's
Right.
Aaron Rodgers. The question is, do we want him back, and do we believe that if he comes back, that the Jets could have a legitimate chance at winning it all,
Yeah.
not just making the playoffs? Like that doesn't. So for me, I don't if he comes back in December, we're 4-4 now. Um, could we make the
Yeah.
playoffs? Sure. Could we compete for a championship? I don't believe so. I don't
Yeah.
believe so. And for those reasons, it's almost like, okay, just shelve it for the rest of the year and
Right.
come back next year 100% healthy with a chip on your shoulder, and I'll have another year to kind of surround him with better weapons. We thought we'd have this strong wide
Right.
receiving core, and Corey Davis retires, and Alan Lazard hasn't been what we expected him to be, and Randall Cobb has been awful, and Hardman's back with Kansas City already. Got to shore up the offensive line. Defense
Yeah.
is good, but to answer your question, no, I think they can make the playoffs. I hope he doesn't come back. And I hope we're back next year and we can compete for a Super Bowl. But the AFC, man, it was funny because I didn't realize how well, like, I think I texted you that Lamar is 19-1 against the NFC. So you just got to
I
get to the
know.
Super Bowl, you know?
The
But
odds are with us there.
yeah,
Yes.
the AFC this year, especially, like you look at like the teams who have been at the top of the AFC. You got, obviously
Chiefs.
the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Bills, the Dolphins. But like any of those teams, the Bengals are coming on
Yeah.
now.
Bengals are
Any of
coming
these
on.
teams can win on a Sunday, where I
That's
feel like
it.
the NFC, you really have, ultimately a one, maybe a two-team race between the Eagles and the 49ers, depending on
Right.
the Niners getting healthy. But I feel like
Right.
there's way more parity in the AFC, and man, just I'm the two teams that I root for outside of the Jets. The Eagles, obviously, for all of our crew that was in Philly for
Yeah.
my time at DMS, and I hate the Giants and the Jet fans. So it's very easy for me to root for the Eagles. So I like the Eagles, and I like the Ravens, man, because I know you're such a big Ravens fan, and I feel like Lamar is just a very very lovable
He is.
player, plays with just so much emotion and passion and heart. So hey man, you guys are looking good.
Yeah.
You guys can make a run.
I hope so, dude. I went to a couple games. It was fun. I went to a game in Baltimore against the Lions where we just crushed them. And then I went to a game in Arizona, and I'm going to go to SoFi Stadium. I'm check that out. I haven't been there yet. I heard it's an amazing stadium. So I'm excited to see what they can do. Like you said, it's anybody can get hot in the last month and carry that momentum into January. But you got to. It's a week by week sport. You got to take next man up. Type deal. When somebody gets hurt, you just got to roll with the punches and see where it takes you. But I'm excited for it, dude. I'm super excited.
Yeah, I can't
Uh,
believe we're already like halfway done with the season, right? It's
I
like where did
know,
this
I know,
where did the NFL season go? Here
I
we
know,
are,
dude. I know.
week
Time
10.
flies. It does fly.
Yeah.
Speaking of time flying, like where well, two things. One is I want people to know where they can see you next year, but two is what are you doing? I always like to try to ask folks, what are you doing with AI in your life? Like, do you incorporate AI in your life? It's hard for me to grasp like using ChatGPT every day or whatever other, but I know people that obsess about it, but in the business world, we're seeing it more for machine learning and applying to businesses. How's it kind of surround you a little bit every day?
Yeah. Well, obviously with OnScript, which is an AI platform, I've had to, learn a little bit more about, AI and
Yeah.
conversational AI, natural language processing. So I'm in the, weeds there on a daily basis with the team over at OnScript. Um,
Nice.
Outside of that, I wish I could say that I incorporated AI more in my life to optimize my life. I have played around with
Yeah.
Chat GPT. The last time I used it, I asked Chat GPT to write a birthday speech for my wife, to give her a toast, and iterated off that. I
Good.
mess around, hey, Chat GPT, do this in,
Yeah.
Shakespeare,
Yeah.
so I have it open on a tab on my phone. I'll mess
Yeah.
around with it every now and then. From like a business perspective,
Yeah.
I'm not using AI as much as like certain other automation tools
Right.
for some of the things that we're doing. But yeah, outside of OnScript, which is a big part of
Good.
what I'm doing,
Yeah.
not so much AI driven.
No, I'm with. I think where it will help you guys like you and I as consultants is tasks. Like as we evolve and learn how to use it better, and as it becomes a business function, like for billing or for follow ups, or like I use it now for transcribing meetings and stuff.
Sure,
But
sure.
yeah, like instead of a virtual assistant, you can have like an AI assistant. But I'm not there yet. But people have been telling me to keep an eye on that. And so
I still go the old fashioned way on a virtual assistant. I got my guy, who
nice,
works my hours in the Philippines, who's on
nice.
call, who does the summarization and sends out emails and next steps and helps with some of the blocking and
Oh, cool,
tackling.
dude.
But
Nice.
yeah, so
Good.
that's been
Good.
nice. But no AI.
Yeah, I'm with you, dude. I don't know if it's a generational thing or it's just I don't know. It's hard for me to roll with it every day, but I'm open to it. I just I just haven't like fully incorporated as well. But I love talking about it with people because I don't know. It just keeps me thinking about it, or at least good to share with the one liners following. But um, where I'm glad that you're going to spend some time and hunker down with the family here for November. I know you have a good fun weekend planned too. But what do you got cooking for Q1 when we get back to the trade show circuit? What's on the docket
Yeah.
for you?
Yeah, so on the docket, obviously you got Lead Gen World kicking off the start of the
You're lucky it's
year,
right
and
in your backyard.
yeah, lucky for me, it's moved out of your backyard into my backyard now at the Guitar Hotel, so I'll be
Nice.
there. Got a lot of people coming in, so
Yeah.
it should be a fun time, and it's definitely no offense, Mike, it's a big upgrade from the Town and Country Hotel to the Guitar Hotel. So thank you. Excited for that show.
That's
I'll
awesome.
be at LeadsCon, of course,
Yeah.
in March. Doing a handful of call center, contact center based shows,
Good.
CCW. Trying to play in a different pool for
Yeah.
OnScript than just the performance guys that we all
Smart.
know in this space. Uh, I'm TBD on Affiliate Summit. I'll probably skip that one.
Yeah.
So as of now, those are the three shows that are
Cool.
100%. I'll be going to. There is a Torch Show NTL that's
Hmm.
in Miami in January, I believe. So
Nice.
that's easy for
Easy.
me. I'll, I'll,
Yeah.
I'll be at that one too. And that's it.
Good.
I think there's a couple of meetups that are going to be happening too in South Florida now and
Yeah.
calls. So anywhere in South Florida is obviously easy for me to get to.
Yeah. Ringba's Adam and Harrison moved to Florida's. I mean,
Miami.
I mean, it seems like too a lot of tech continues to evolve and grow in Miami, and you're surrounded. That's awesome that you're surrounded by people within the community, and I like, obviously it's smart for you guys to think outside the box with OnScript on not just performance marketing clients, just general. You have a much broader audience at CCW,
And
so
yeah,
that's
and
great,
don't and
dude.
don't forget and don't forget where I live, which is about 50 minutes north of Miami, is the call center capital
That's right.
of America. And specifically, I mean, there must be about 17 big ACA rooms that are all within a
Wow.
20-mile
Yeah.
radius of my house. Really from down in Sunrise Plantation,
Yeah.
Deerfield, Fort Lauderdale, Boca, like up to West Palm. There's
That's
just
awesome.
tons of call centers, so it's nice. Got a lot of clients down here, a lot of call center operators down here, and then of course in Miami, that's where you get more of like the tech media
Yeah.
buyer groups
That's
that are
great.
that are. Yeah,
It's
it's been
nice because
fun.
quick, you could do day trips or just, see impact, and it's good to know people that, are surrounded you, that you don't have to, like say, get on a plane and go for, take a
Right.
day, day and a half away from you and your family. Dude, I love you, man. I'm so happy that we did this episode together, and I can't wait to see you at Lead Generation World in January. You got to show me that. I've never been to that location before, so you got to show me,
Oh
show
yeah,
me,
well,
show me the
we'll
way,
roll
dude.
out the red carpet for you, Joey, and thanks for having me.
Awesome, dude.
Happy Thanksgiving to you and
Same to
your
you.
fam, and say hi to Joanne and the boys for me. And I'll see
I
you.
will.
I'll see you in January.
Same to Ali and the girls, man. Much love to you. Glad to have you on. Peace.